You got a ping, pang, ding going on with your car or truck, then take it to A-Plus Automotive in Shelby. A-Plus Automotive does all types of automotive repairs, from tune-ups to oil changes and complete diagnostic work. And they are a North Carolina inspection station with over 30 years of experience. See A-Plus Automotive in Shelby. They also do AC and heater repair. Get her running today with a stop at A-Plus Automotive, 1900 Elizabeth Avenue in Shelby. See Charlie Heston today or call 704-482-0441 for A-Plus Automotive in Shelby.
If you're ready to make the great escape, do it with the #1 brand on the water. Yamaha Wave Runners are the most premium personal watercraft on the market, with industry-first features and exciting new products like the all-new 2021 VX Series with audio packages, the much-anticipated Superjet, and the new race-ready GP Series. This is Wave Runner country. See one today at Full Throttle Powersports, located at 100 Indian Walk off I-85 in Laurel.
21 minutes after 10 o'clock, you're listening to WHS in Shelby and WLON in Lincoln. And time now for the Full Throttle Powersports postgame show.
Hello and welcome to the Full Throttle Powersports postgame show. I'm Dennis Davis along with Kevin Hastings, and that fellow back there running the control board is Calvin Hastings. You may have heard of him. He's been around a little while doing this. We've got some scores tonight. We had some exciting games from various teams playing in the area. We had a few heartbreakers I hate to report tonight, folks, but let's get started with one or two that you might really enjoy. First of all, in the 2A division, we had Shelby tonight, who took on the legendary Reidsville Rams at George Blanton Stadium. The final outcome favored Shelby 31-14. Shelby next week will play East Surrey Cardinals, who triumphed over Maiden tonight in a slobber knocker 36-35. That's right, folks. That's the kind of games we had tonight. Shelby was the dominant team and had the runaway score of all the teams that we have up here tonight. In the other part of that bracket, we had, Robbinsville over Murphy 28-14, and it looks like Mitchell Mountaineers defeated the Mount Airy Granite Bears 21-14 tonight. That will set up a game between Mitchell and Robbinsville next week. So another one of those mountain contests up there. Now, down in the Piedmont area tonight, we had a conference game. South Point, who had lost to Crest by 1 point earlier the year, as Crest had a big comeback. Crest tonight lost to South Point in overtime, 34-27. Robbie Roop, I hope, will call in a little while and we'll get the details on that. I'm particularly interested in the overtime when Crest scored a touchdown on a pass play, and somewhat after the play was over, there was a flag for a holding penalty on Crest. And then the last pass for Crest was not successful. And so South Point advances, winning in overtime 34-27 over the Crest Chargers. They will travel down to Greensboro, where tonight the Dudley Panthers defeated the Statesville Greyhounds 20-6. That should be a real slobber knocker game next week. Wish South Point the best. They have an opportunity, but I'll be honest with you, Dudley is a balanced, good team that they're going to have some difficulty with. Of course, South Point is playing its best ball. After that defeat to Crest, they sort of woke up and started playing South Point brand Red Raider football. Huskies defeated the East Forsyth Eagles tonight, 26-14. Okay. and it was the Chambers Cougars. Chris Hawk, I know you're a happy man tonight. The Cougars beat Weddington Warriors tonight 45-14. It was, let's see, the Pender Patriots tonight over the Northside Pinetown Panthers by a score of 34-28. And then it was the Tarboro Vikings over the Northampton Jaguars tonight, 27-3. That's a pretty big score there for those folks down there. All right, we had a contest tonight between the Princeton Bulldogs and the St. Paul's Bulldogs. Obviously, the Bulldogs won that one, but it was the Princeton variety by a score of 45-28 tonight. So the Bulldogs were victorious in that one. In the Wallace Rose Hill Northeastern game tonight, Wallace Rose Hill 57 and Northeast 22.
And Dennis, Wallace Rose, they're also Bulldogs.
Yep. The Bulldogs chewed everybody up tonight.
Yeah, Calvin. They did.
Jacksonville Cardinals came by the Eastern Alamance Eagles tonight. So the little Cardinals took on the big Eagles, and they won 27-21. Scotland County, the Scots tonight, Wayne Weatherspoon, this will not make you happy, but the J.H. Rose Ramparts beat the Scott County Fighting Scots tonight by a score of 49-28. Rollsville Rams and the Leesville Road Pride tonight.
I think we got Tom Sinafani calling in. You want to grab him right quick?
Rollsville Rams won by a score of 47-24. And at Panther Creek and Cardinal Gibbons, it was Cardinal Gibbons 42 and Panther Creek 14. And we have a caller coming in. Calvin, can you put him through?
I believe it's Tom Sinafani. Tom, are you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, go ahead.
Turn on my radio.
All right, there you go.
Hey, Calvin.
Hey there. Hey, I'm sitting in for a little bit with.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? We got you.
Can you hear me, Calvin?
Yes, I can hear you. Yep.
I can't hear him,
you
Calvin.
There?
Wait a minute. Hang on
Hello?
1 second. Hang on. How about that?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Calvin.
All right, go for it.
I still can't hear him.
You can't hear him? Well, I'm a rookie. I don't know why.
It's probably something on my board here. What do I need to?
I don't have no idea. Kevin will be back in a minute.
Okay.
But go ahead, Tom. Tell us about the ball game.
Yeah, Tom.
I'm going to let Robbie call in, too. I mean, I know that the Crest folks were a little upset, and just the way the ball game ended. But, South Point had over 400 yards rushing. 400 yards total offense. They had about, had around 100 through the air, which I think surprised Crest a little bit. There's a big 3rd and 10 on their last drive where they got about a 27-yard pass play. So, they caught Crest off guard, I think, a little bit with throwing the ball a little bit more than Crest anticipated. But, South Point went up, hit him in the mouth, got up 14-0 quick, but, Crest stayed composed and came back and, cut the deficit. Halftime it was 17-13. But Crest took the lead 27-20 on Javarius Green, made just a tremendous over-the-shoulder catch where he adjusted back to the ball and went in. And that's after that, South Point turned the ball over a little bit too. That was after the 3rd South Point turnover, and Crest was able to get back-to-back touchdowns to take the lead. But last drive for South Point was like a 9-play drive where they took all but 10 seconds left on the clock and scored that touchdown, and then got the ball first in overtime, and then scored on 3rd down. And Crest got the ball and looked like Javarius Green had just a miracle catch on 4th down in the corner of the end zone, and then a holding call wiped it out, and then South Point was able to hold on 4th down, and they win the ball game. But nothing to be ashamed of on Crest part, it was a great ball game. Two great teams and two great traditions, and just unfortunate the Chargers came up a little short.
Well, Tom, the thing about that is these two teams had played a very close game before one point in which Crest had to struggle to come back. I think some of the Crest fans may have had a question about that holding call, why it was called. Was it late? Was it, all those kinds of things. You get that in any game.
When you're emotionally involved in the game, the flag, when it comes out, it's going to seem late because you're not looking for that. You're looking at Javarius Green make an outstanding catch in the corner of the end zone.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. I mean, he was right by the pylon. He goes up. He had to leap to catch it and it just, keep his composure, know where his feet are, and get the foot in bounds. And that's what everyone's looking at, Dennis. Everybody's looking at that, and then all of a sudden you see the flag. So, and all the I know everybody wants to talk about referees and all this, and I do it in baseball, I do it in soccer. When you're reffing a game, nobody likes you. I mean, that's just the way it is. I don't care if you referee because you want to make friends, find another job because you're not. But I think what makes you upset is Dennis, there was not a flag in the second half. There was not a penalty in the second half, and then your first penalty comes in the first overtime. So I think that's going to be, from the Crest perspective, it's like, we don't have a penalty for so long, and then we have one which just happens to wipe out that outstanding play.
Yeah,
but it just is what it is, and really, Husky and Green, just a tremendous play, and you hate to see it wiped out on a penalty, but Dennis, the film don't lie. You know what I mean? The film don't lie, and everybody's got it on film. So, I don't know if we had a guy out there doing the Twitter, and I hope they've got that play, but he might not even been able to see it on that. Somebody's got the film, and I'm sure if it wasn't, that film will be on YouTube. Somebody will cut it, and the criticism will come. But it is what it is, and it was very emotional. And Robbie, it was his son's RJ, his last game as a Charger. So just he closed out his career, not the way they wanted to, but still he's proud of his son. And we at KTC we're proud of RJ. We're proud of Robbie. I'm sure he'll be calling in here in just a little bit. But I knew that one hurt the faithful there. So just heart goes out to the Crest community. Sorry you came up a little bit short, but congratulations to South Point. They're moving on.
Well, Tom, we appreciate your coverage. Shannon was over there tonight. I think he was doing some tweeting. I don't know. Kevin handles that end of it, and he's a little bit taking care of some other things right now, and he should be joining us maybe in a little while, and he can check for that play. But I know that was just sort of, anytime you have a play like that, you're going to hear the rumbling of the fans, or this, that, and the other kind of thing. Looking beyond that, South Point has to go to Dudley next week because Dudley managed to win tonight. They beat a very fine Statesville team that was undefeated tonight, 20-6. And I think probably, I hate to say this, if there's anybody listening, you didn't hear me say this, but I think Dudley would beat either Crest or South Point next week. So it didn't matter which one was going to be there. I think Dudley would have come out on top next week. And they should go to the championship round. If
South Point's going to have any chance, they're going to have to execute the running game like they did tonight. And I'll give them credit. Riley's the fullback, Pfeiffer's the quarterback, and then they've got the other kid, number 7. His last name escapes me right now, but they do a very good job of disguising who has the ball.
Oh yeah,
and when the fullback starts hitting those body blows, 6 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, 5 yards, and then Pfeiffer's able to pull it out and then hit the pitch play on the outside. Madlock is the other kid, I believe his name, Madlock. And when they're able, when they're clicking, Dennis, and it's hard to tell who has the football, and you get guys start crashing down on the fullback, that's when that pitch play opens up. And that's what happened on the first two drives. They didn't do a good job on the pitch man. And then they made the adjustments, and they started doing better, and that's how Crest got back in the football game. And then in the third quarter, you saw it again. But, Riley, when that fullback dive works, Dennis, that sets up everything else. And it even set up a few of their passes, too. Because they threw the ball maybe 9 or 10 times. Dennis, they threw the ball 4 times in their last 4 games. And they had 10 throws tonight.
Tom, I mean,
that's on film. That's on film now, and now Dudley gets a look at that. But that surprised me. But if the fullback dive works, everything else is going to work for that offense.
Well, I think I heard you say somewhere close to the end of the game there that the quarterback had nearly 100 yards of rushing. You don't normally get a South Point quarterback with that much yardage. It's usually he's handing it off to the fullback, or he's handing it on a pitch, out to a running back. They were passing more tonight, and I thought that really a game changer there was when they were able to connect on a couple of those long passes. Crest had sort of let their defense down because you don't expect South Point to be a passing team. That option is their bread and butter. But the quarterback getting 100 yards, I thought, made them stay in to have to play him, and that opened up their passing game, and it opened up the others for the Riley kid, like I said, for his running up the middle.
Well, what he's good at, Dennis, what he's good at is he keeps the ball in Riley's belly and then pulls it out last minute. And there was a couple times where he, the couple pitch plays where he put it on the ground, that was him holding on to it a little bit too long on both those pitch plays, where he probably should have kept it and just took the 2-yard loss and tried to when Crest had it strung out. But by and large, he's very good at disguising whether he or Riley's going to have the football. And that's why he has 100 yards. Because I think Riley had maybe 118. And then Matlock had maybe had about 80 yards. I mean, they had over 300 yards rushing. But he's very good at disguising that. And as long as he's disguising that well, and like I said earlier, it's just hard to tell. Nobody knows who's got the ball, Dennis. I mean, and the only other team that I've seen that's really good at that is West Lincoln. That old, wing T, who's got the football, because 4 or 5 different guys can run it. And when they execute it, it's hard to stop because you don't see it anymore. A lot of teams don't do that anymore. They've really modernized their offenses. They might run that read option, but not like South Point runs it. I mean, it's really some old school option football, and got to give credit to the guys up front too. They do a good job up front, creating the space. And like I said, those 3 ball carriers I mentioned, and Harris, who doesn't get the ball as much, had a nice run, and then that big 3rd down conversion. I know you were listening. That was a huge conversion when they were down 7. It was like a 3rd and 10. Yeah. And he just snuck out there and got lost. And Matlock did that in the first half on one play, just snuck out there and got lost. It was just a little safety valve, but there's nobody around him. So, the catch and run of about, I want to say it was like a 32-yard pass completion. So that's all on film now, though, Dennis. So Dudley has seen some of the pass plays for South Point, and it really wasn't on film that much for Crest. I mean, I think they had 9 pass completions the whole year, and they had maybe 5 tonight, Dennis. I mean, it's just not that they were a passing team. I mean, they were still 5-1, 6-1 rush to pass, but it was really that they threw it just enough, and not just throwing it a few times, but timely. Very, very timely pass completions that made the difference in the game.
Well, the other observation I would make about South Point, having played Crest before, they knew what Amari could do, And evidently from the way I heard things going, other than a couple of long runs he had there sort of back-to-back in a sequence, they pretty well kept him not shut out, but under control, if you will.
I mean, he had over 200 yards, but he did have 35 carries. So he's averaging about 6 or 7. And he had, there was a long streak where he didn't have a double-digit, yardage. They did have, I think he had a 38-yarder and like a 46-yarder, like back-to-back on one drive.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
You're asking a lot of that kid for 35 carries. That's a lot. That's a lot of carries for a high school kid.
Well,
but they have rode that kid all. They've rode that kid all year. He has been the bread and butter for that team.
Yep.
And Husky can run the ball too. Some people might say maybe a few more runs to Husky, and I know some of them were questioning that Wildcat where they put Adams back there, and it's like, well, it was. Everybody knew Adams was going to get the ball, but Dennis, everybody's known Adams is going to get the ball all year, and that hadn't stopped him. So, it was if it was me and I'm the coach, Adams is getting that ball in overtime. He's getting that ball, and I'm going to give him a chance to make a play. But that's a lot of carries. 35 carries, man, that's a lot of carries. And it might have affected him late in that game. Not just running the ball, Dennis, but South Point likes to hit you. That's a lot. That's a lot for him to do. But I tell you what, he's a tough kid, and just come up a little short. So I just hate it for their ball team.
Well, I thought maybe in the end what they could have done possibly, and I'm not coaching. I wasn't on the field tonight, but I thought they could have used him more as a decoy and used some of the green fellas who have some speed, maybe done some other things that would have got the ball into some fresher legs that also had some speed and maybe could break one. But I think they kept going to Maury because they kept waiting for him to have that other burst, a big pickup of 30 or 40 or 50 yards and get that score. Had Crest got up, another touchdown, it would have been game over. But, if ifs and buts was candy and nuts, so what a Merry Christmas it'd be. Don Meredith.
But Carter Green, you mentioned Carter Green. I think he was shaken up and didn't come back in the game for a while. He was shaken up in the first half.
Yeah.
So that would be part of the explanation why, Maury had so many carries. But like I said, it was just an outstanding effort on his part. And, and like I said, I'm going to give, Crest credit. They gave up touchdowns on the two first possessions, and then there was only 13 more points the rest of the game. So they made their adjustments, and South Point's going to get they're going to get their rushing yards. But I think overall it was a pretty good job of making their adjustments and staying in the ball game. But it's just South Point made one more play, Dennis, when it comes down to the big third down conversion and then the touchdown in overtime, and that's the difference.
Well, Crest doesn't have anything to hang their head about. South Point, I think, had a little chip on their shoulder tonight, and I thought they had a little bit of an advantage coming in tonight because, hey, we know what we did last time. We let it slip away for us, and they fought through it and took that lead back, especially in the overtime, and said, we're not going to lose this one.
Yeah, it was just it was. It was both teams really, fought hard, and you got to credit both the kids on both teams and the coaching staffs, and just really a great ball game. I just appreciate getting a chance to call in, and I know Robbie's going to call in here shortly and give you a little bit more of his take on it. But I just wanted to say, just this tough break and nothing to be ashamed of, and just hate the Chargers came up short. And I just want to say also congratulations to Coach Will Banks and Coach Emery and my buddies over at Shelby for getting a win tonight. And they're going to move on and play for the Western Regional Championship next weekend. I guess you said they're going to play
East Surrey won over Maiden tonight, 36-35.
Yeah, congratulations to them. Maiden let that one get away from them, though, Dennis. But I'm sure you guys will you guys hear from Steve and some other folks that'll break that one down for you.
Well, listen, Tom, we appreciate the great job you've done this year, mostly doing Burns. We appreciate that. Burns had a tough game up at Hendersonville. They could probably say a few things about that game as well as some other folks. I saw some comments tonight, from some of the Burns faithful. It's, well, we know how you feel kind of thing. Anyway, Tom, thank you. People tune in tomorrow morning for the sports program, and Tom will be right here, and he'll be discussing things other than football. He'll be talking about the Guardians giving away all their players this year, selling them off, if you will, up there. I don't know what's going on with them since they changed their name, Tom.
Yeah, they're having once you get in financial trouble, it's tough. You got to play a little money ball, but we'll break that down a lot more on Saturday morning sports talk. Now brought to you by Shelby Heating and Air. So I'll be looking forward to that. And Dennis, thanks, and I'll let you guys take it away.
Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate your game tonight and appreciate your calling in. All right, Calvin, we're going to take a break, or we got another caller?
No, we're going to take a break.
All right, let's take a break and pay some bills.
All right. Hey, you're listening to the Full Throttle Powersports postgame show.
If you're ready to make the great escape, do it with the #1 brand on the water. Yamaha Wave Runners are the most premium personal watercraft on the market, with industry-first features and exciting new products like the all-new 2021 VX Series with audio packages. The most anticipated
KTC Broadcasting.
Hey, is this Kevin?
No, this is Calvin. You're close.
Oh, hey, Calvin, this is Scotty.
Hey, Scotty boy, you want to do a little talking?
Well, if they want me to.
Yeah, hang on 1 second, okay? About 20 seconds.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
You're up late tonight.
Yeah,
You're up late tonight,
Kevin's under the weather, so I'm having to run the board here. Hang on just a second. All right?
All right.
Swimming pool, picnic area, and more. For your tee time or other questions, call 828-428-2451. The Glen Oaks Golf Course, 245 Golf Course Road in Maiden. It's world class for the working class.
All right, thank you there, Milton the Mad Dog Baker, and we're going to turn it back over to Dennis Davis. We got a caller coming in. Scott Neisler, how you doing there, Scott? Hey,
Listen, I'm doing great, and what a great high school football game it was tonight.
Well,
between South Point and Princeton.
I was running back between the studios, and Dennis I think he was monitoring the Crest game, so I'm going to turn it over to Dennis right quick.
All right, sounds good. Hey, Dennis.
Is this his honorable mayor of Kings Mountain on the line here?
Well, I tell you what, it's an honor to be being able to talk to our Senator Dennis Davis tonight.
Well,
the illustrious Senator Dennis Davis. Dennis, what a slobber knocker it was at Crest High School.
Well, tell us your point on it. We've to disclose to the public, we spent a little time together politically, but we've also spent a little time together in football. I recall a few things that we did up on the roof down at Charlotte Catholic, a couple of good victories down there that we were able to see the Chargers through. But give us your take on tonight's game. You're familiar with these South Point Red Raiders. You broadcast their games now on your station, and we want to hear your take on this.
Well, I tell you this, Dennis. This is a team, and like all South Point teams, you know what they're going to throw at you, and there's nothing you can do about it a lot of times. It's amazing to me that you can have a fullback and the quarterback take such punishment for now 14 games. And still, you know what they're going to do. You know, Tyson Riley, he's, ranked in the top 5 of rushers this season in the state. You know what they're going to do. I thought Chris had a good game playing against him. But then once again, they switched it up. Cam Medlock was the quarterback when they met early in the season. And they switched it up a little bit, and Cam ended up being, playing in the tight end wide receiver role. and they brought in Elijah Pfeiffer. And Pfeiffer really gave them that other option of being able to have a little speed at quarterback. And I know I heard you and Tom talking about how he rushed for 100 yards tonight, and it gave him that little bit of a wrinkle. But at the beginning of this game, Dennis, it just seemed so familiar from what happened in the regular season, because if you remember, South Point got up 14-0 on Crest, and then Amari Adams gets and Husky gets going, and all of a sudden they break big plays and all, but South Point tonight didn't do themselves any favor because of the fact they pitched the ball twice, lost 2 fumbles, and that resulted in 14 points for Crest. But what a great high school football game it is. And, I've learned over the years, especially doing a lot of Kings Mountain football, that one of these days a state championship comes to fruition. But, if you're playing on Thanksgiving weekend in any year, you have had a great, successful year. And Crest had a great, successful year. And it boiled down, like I say, to the one play in overtime. Whether you think about the holding as being a problem or not, if South Point hadn't fumbled twice, Crest probably wouldn't have been in the football game. So what a great high school football game it is, and it was. And would you expect anything less at this time of year?
Well, any team that gets to this fourth round, Scott, has got to be good, and you can't underestimate them. What made this game, I think, special was that these were two teams that know each other, have played each other. This is not their first rodeo, and the fact that they had played just a few weeks ago in a real slobber knocker. Crest had come back, and let's face it, they had stole one, if you will, from South Point, and South Point came in tonight not to be denied. And then when it got to the overtime, it was like, uh-oh, here we go again. We're not going to let it happen this time. And they were able to not only be offensive-minded, but they were defensive-minded and were able to keep Crest from scoring there, and thus the victory, and they advance on. Now, Dudley, that's going to be another hill for them to climb, but they can go and have bragging rights about beating Crest, and that may mean as much or more to them as a state championship.
Well, it could be. And I'm going to say this, too, because obviously, I've been involved with Kings Mountain football for many, many years. But being over at South Point, and this is my second, I guess we had kind of a half season in the spring, but for the second season, there's something about the programs at Crest and at South Point where they got moxie. And they know when they get in a playoff situation, they also get better during the year. They get to where they learn how to win. And this South Point team, when they got down 27-20, could have easily dropped their head with 3 minutes to go in the game and said, we're beat. But no, they don't. They go from the opening whistle to the final ring of the bell. And that's happened all season long. And in fact, it almost happened again with the Crest and South Point game. I don't know whether you remember, but South Point got them on a 3-and-out and got the ball back, and Burt Whistle was kicking a 54-yard field goal to win the football game after a lot of the South Point Red Raiders had left the stadium thinking they were beat, over the interception. So that's the one thing that I really look at is that they never say never until that final bell's rung, they play up to that. They really do.
Well, Scott, I'll say this: you broadcast those South Point games, and you're familiar with them. We've talked and bragged on all the Cleveland County schools this year: Kings Mountain, Shelby, Burns, Crest. How far we go, and we're used to this and this, that, and the other. but the last team standing is a Gaston County team. Well, I take it back. Shelby's still standing, but in the 3A, the last team standing is the Belmont Red Raiders. Now, whether they're going to be Red Raiders for long, I won't get into that. But, the situation is that South Point rose to the top, as you said, got better through the year, corrected some of the problems that they had, learned from their mistakes, and we'll see what they can do down at Dudley. If any team can beat Dudley, it might be the South Point Red Raiders because they're so different in the style that they play than any other team that Dudley's played this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I tell you this, too, because being that this is my first phone call, I want to make a little commentary on what I do not believe that the Big South gets a lot of credit statewide. You've got a 14 seed in South Point beating the number 1 seed at Pisgah. And I don't know how they go through it, whether this max prep thing, how they seed these teams. But obviously, we had 4 Big South teams in the playoffs in the second round or third round, and I don't think we get the respect we did. And like Kings Mountain, they're ranked number 1 in the 3A, and they end up getting an 11 seed.
Yeah.
Now, how can that be that you're that good during the year and you get an 11 seed and only play 1 home game?
Well, look at South Point.
It doesn't make sense.
South Point was not seeded very high, like you said. I think 16, 18, somewhere down there. They go up to the number 1 seed in the 3As at Pisgah and beat them up there. I think things like that. Look at Forest View. Look at Stuart Kramer. Look at all these other schools that are very, very good. They just happen to be in the conference where the Kings Mountains and the Crest, sort of the cream of the cream, was at the top. But they're not bad football programs, and they're getting better.
Well, I think you're totally right. In some of these schools, like a Stuart Kramer and a Forest View, would have been champions in some of these other conferences.
Yeah, and got a much higher seeding. And one of the things of success here, and this is where I give credit to South Point. South Point didn't get a high seeding, so they are having to go up and play the number 1 seed. And they said, well, we don't mind. You got to, it doesn't matter how big they are. You got to beat them all to get to the championship. And so they beat the number 1 seed.
Well, and see, that happened with Kings Mountain a couple of years ago, and we didn't get a good seeding, and so we go to Monroe and number 2 and beat them. And my philosophy is you got to face them sometime. Might as well just do it at the beginning.
There you go.
And it ended up with South Point being able to play in conference with teams by beating Forest View last week and then playing Crest tonight. So, it's not necessarily bad to beat somebody that, good at the very beginning because it makes it a little easier road. But I just don't think Big South gets the respect they should be getting.
Well, I agree with you, Scott. I thought overall from top to bottom, we were probably one of the stronger conferences, and that's all the teams. That's not any particular team. But overall, they were stronger than a lot of the 3A teams. Some very good teams in other conferences, but not the number or the depth that we had in the Big South.
I think that's totally right. Totally right. And I don't know. I mean, I look forward to going and playing Dudley, and I think once again you're getting the best now. You're not getting anything other than that. But yeah, I understood that Kings Mountain hung with them pretty long until about wasn't it tied at halftime or something like that?
I don't recall exactly, but I know that Kings Mountain gave them a better game than they anticipated because everybody, Dudley's just going to run over everybody, and Kings Mountain went to Dudley and played them. South Point will probably be watching some of that Kings Mountain film because they're familiar with Kings Mountain, and they can better gauge what they can do by what Kings Mountain had success in doing, and not make the same mistakes on defense that Kings Mountain may have made to let Dudley get ahead. So that's going to be an interesting matchup next week. We'll see. South Point would be the underdog, in my opinion, at this point, but you just never know. At this time of the year, there are no real bad underdogs. They're all pretty evenly matched. We're looking at scores here tonight, less than a touchdown separating, sometimes 1 point, and that's across the board. So at this round, there's no little sisters of the poor.
Right. And I really appreciate you letting me call, and I know you've got other things going on, and, I'll try to call you after the end of the Dudley South Point game, and we'll give you a little eye on the field as to how it went.
That sounds great,
I appreciate
Scott.
you letting me call.
Well, and, we've worked together in the past. I've been able to help you out occasionally, and I appreciate you calling in and helping me out tonight.
I will send him a bill.
That's good. and Chris, nothing to hang your head on. What a great, great year it was.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Your Honor. Proceed
All right.
to
see you, Your Honor.
Proceed to make Kings Mountain great again.
We're gonna try. Bye.
Build back better, Scott.
That sounds good. Have a great night.
Thank you, Scott.
I tell you what, I think I'm going to be honored with all these honors going around. I know Dennis can't hear me, but we're going to change that here in just a second. Dennis, let's take a break.
That sounds good.
Wait
Calvin.
a minute. We got another caller coming in. Let's go
see who that is first.
Yeah, let's go ahead and grab this since we're on the line. You're listening to the Full Throttle Powersports postgame show. We need to go over the scores here in just a little bit, but let's go ahead and grab this one, Dennis. All right, caller, you're on the air. Steve Degree. All right, Steve, take it away.
Hey, how y'all doing, fellas?
How about them Golden Lions?
How about them Golden Lions, baby?
Well, Steve, you live to play another time, and I know that you're going to be particularly happy tonight because I'm sure that the key to this game tonight had to do with some of them guys up front.
You got that right, Dennis. I tell you what, I've never been such a proud of a bunch of young men in my life. All this hype, all the talk was about we couldn't block their front or we couldn't penetrate their front, but our offensive line and our defensive line controlled the game. Sacked their quarterback a bunch of times, stopped the run. We got the ball first, and we fumbled it, and we got it back, and we scored a field goal. Then they got the ball back, and they went ahead of us 7-3. So we didn't panic. We just kept plugging away, and went to our heavy set, and Jaden was able to score to put us back up 10-7. And at halftime, it was 10-7. Had a bunch of penalties, unshabby-like penalties, legal procedures, holding, all kind of stuff that you could think of. The referee got their money worth tonight, throwing flags. So anyway, halftime we was up 10-7. Coach Wilbank emphasized, that all the penalties we had, and we still was winning. And told them that the next 4 minutes of the third quarter would be the key to the game. So they went 3 and out. We got the ball back. Kept driving, kept plugging away. And we was able to get another touchdown. Made it 14 to no. We made it 14 to 7. No, 7. No, after we missed the extra point, made it 16-7. We missed the extra point. And then we got the ball back again. Then again, our offensive line controlled the line of scrimmage, and we dropped some passes that we didn't normally pass. It was just a great overall ball game. We just controlled the line of scrimmage and held their running back in check. Number 3 got a loose one time, And also the number 5, we ran the last touchdown after we was already up 31-7. And our kids just played their heart out. They didn't give up. Great coaching strategy by all our coaches. And here again, our scout team, the kids that don't get to play much, they're the key to your football team, too, because they give us the look that we need to practice against, offensively and defensive. And we had a great week of practice. And I told the offensive lineman, if we can block our front 4 in practice, then we should be able to block any front 4 in the county or anywhere. Because we got a great front 4 in our defense. And then you add Malachi at linebacker and Sam Baldry at linebacker. If we can block them 6, we shouldn't have no problem blocking nobody else. And that's exactly what happened. We just controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And we also got a safety to make up for the 2 points that we went for and didn't get. I don't know what to say. I'm just so happy.
Well, Steve, you have a right to be happy and pleased with the fellas that you helped to coach that did an excellent job tonight. Both quarterbacks for the teams tonight are named Lee. The
right.
Reidsville quarterback is a sophomore, and the Shelby quarterback's a junior, but it's his first year under center for the Golden Lions. How did both of those young men perform tonight? Obviously, the Shelby quarterback won the game with his team, but give us your analysis of the quarterbacks tonight and a little bit more about the offensive side of the ball.
Well, actually, Dalen did a good job of running offense. But, folks, you got to give also Coach Emery, our offensive coordinator, he was calling a great call. He was calling some great plays. He saw what they was giving us, and he would call the play. He saw what they was giving us, he called the play. And our kids were executing the plays to the fullest. Now, the Lee on the other side, I think we got him frustrated. We were sacking him a lot because most time he looked up, there stood Malachi or Santana down his throat. Sacked him 3 or 4 times, and I think that he wasn't used to that speed coming out the corner at him, and he didn't know what to think. I don't think they've seen a defense that fast, and they couldn't adjust to it.
Well, Steve, I watched some film of their offense this year. They've got a running back, pretty good-sized young man, and he just seemed to run through and run over people. But like you said, he hadn't faced a defense like the Shelby defense, and they hadn't dealt with that. And the quarterback who was throwing all those touchdown passes to those speedy receivers, he hadn't met the defensive backs and the linebackers like you had, and he hadn't faced linemen like the Shelby Lions who could put the pressure on him to get rid of that ball a little bit quicker, and that throws your timing off, which means you have, a lot of incomplete passes, and that's based on your defense and the pressure that you can bring on a young quarterback.
Yeah, that's right. See, our front 4, Jalen, so sometimes you get talking to him, you get a vapor like the Pierce kid, Jalen Pierce, 77, he's a sophomore, done a great job. And also, we got Malachi, Sam Baldry, Tyler Boris, and DeMario Allen. That's our front 7. And I'm telling you, that's about the front 5. And then we got T.J. Griffin at the other linebacker. That's probably the best front 7 we've ever had at one time at Shelby High School. You might have one here and one there, but a combination together, them kids, they come to play.
There you go. Well, Steve, next week you're going to be facing the East Surrey Cardinals because they defeated the Maiden Blue Devils tonight 36-35 in one of those slobber knocker games where the East Surrey Cardinals came from behind after Maiden was ahead, and the game looked like it was over and that Maiden was going to come to Shelby next week, but the East Surrey Cardinals pulled it out. I know that you'll be watching some film and dealing with some special things to deal with that team next week, The good news is it'll be at George Blanton Stadium on Pearlie Allen Field, and I feel confident that you guys might just be headed back to the ship if you play the game that you're capable of playing.
And see, one other thing, too, Coach Will Banks and all the coaches, they'll get together Sunday, and they'll go over the film, and when we get to practice Monday, they have a great game plan. So that tells me if Maiden scored 35 points on them, that means they can be scored on. So they're going to give us something. They're either going to give us a run or the pass. And all our kids just have to stay posed and execute what we got to do.
Well, like East Surrey
I'm going to get a game ball to our offensive line and our defensive line. So they the ones who won the game tonight.
Well, like East Surrey did tonight, Steve, you only have to be 1 point better than they are. And I think I have faith in the Lions that you're 1 point better than East Surrey.
Well, I really hope so. I don't ever know if we played them or not in football. I'm going to do some research on it. But I tell you what, I'm plumb exhausted because I was really scared of Reedsville speed. But a lot of those guys played both ways. And 6 guys played both ways, didn't it? And then the third and fourth quarter, they was wore down. And where we still was fresh. And we took Bryson Key and put him at running back in the place of Jalen Petty, who twisted his ankle a little bit. And I told Bryson ahead of time, I said, Bryson, your speed is going to come to prominent in the fourth quarter because they're going to be tired and you're going to be fresh. And that's exactly what happened. He ran real hard tonight, ran behind the offensive line, and we just got the job done.
Well, Steve, we appreciate your call once again. Win or lose, you always come through for us. Next week, I want to hear from you again when East Surrey comes to Shelby and give us a report on that one. Hopefully the news will be good and you're packing your bags to head to the championship. We don't know where those are going to be played yet, Steve. They haven't announced because they're going to take into consideration sort of where the teams that win are from in order to make maybe a little closer to home trip for those. Probably still be Wake Forest, Carolina State. I don't think they're covering Duke this year, but anyway, they'll divide that up. You know, if most of the teams are closer to Wake Forest, they'll play at Wake Forest. So we'll see how that turns out and let you know. Probably might know something by the sports show in the morning. So tune in. Thank you for calling, Steve. Look forward to hearing from you next week.
Thank you, Dennis. Y'all guys, I really hate that the Chargers lost. I want Coach Eddie to take the Chargers further as they could, but it was just one of those games. But I know Nick Beeson, the linebacker from Crest, he's a great young man. So, Nick, just hold your head high. Remember, y'all had a great season.
Well, Steve, I've got to give some scores here, so we'll talk with you a little bit later. And then, Calvin, let me give these scores, and then we'll take a little break.
I tell you what, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Tell you, why don't you take the top left? I'll take the bottom left. You take the top right. I'll take the bottom right.
I think I can follow you on that.
Go for it, Robbinsville Black Knights.
All right. We got the Murphy Bulldogs tonight playing the Robbinsville Black Knights, and the Robbinsville Black Knights won by a score of 28-14. Mitchell Mountaineers playing the Mount Airy Granite Bears tonight in a bit of an upset because Mount Airy was undefeated. We had Mitchell 21, Mount Airy 14. And as you just heard from Steve Degree here, the Shelby Golden Lions handled the Reedsville Rams tonight in a good game tonight. Shelby Golden Lions 31, Reedsville Rams 14. And it was the East Surrey Cardinals spoiling the Maiden Blue Devils trip to Shelby next week by a score of 36-35.
All right, we just heard from Scott Neisler, South Point Red Raiders, and overtime down the Crest Chargers was at 34-27. It was the Dudley Panthers over the Statesville Greyhounds, 20-6. It was the Huff Huskies over the East Forsyth Eagles, 26-14. and the Chambers Cougars over the Weddington Warriors 45-14.
And Calvin, that'll set up a game next week between Chambers and Huff. Huff won that game earlier in the season, sort of like the Crest South Point game, but Chambers is probably the better team, so it'll be interesting to see that slobber knocker next week. Now, up here we have the Pender Patriots, who defeated the Northside Pinetown Panthers tonight, 34-28. And then it was the Tarboro Vikings by a score of 27-3 over the Northampton Jaguars. The Princeton Bulldogs, one of 3 Bulldogs playing in that section tonight, defeated the St. Paul's Bulldogs tonight, 45-28. And the Bulldogs of Wallace Rose Hill came out on top tonight by a score of 57-22 over the Northeastern Eagles.
All right, I got the Jacksonville Cardinals over the East Alamance Eagles, 27-21. J.H. Rose Rampants, whatever a rampant is. They beat Scotland County Fighting Scots 49-28. Rollsville Rams over Leesville Road Pride 47-24. And it was the Cardinal Gibbons Crusaders over the Panther Creek Catamounts 42-14. So there you go.
And by the way, Calvin, they did a little research on that. Shannon did, and I think that picture over there it's sort of like a griffin, but it's some form of a lion.
Okay, a rampant.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Don't know exactly what it is, but it's some form of a lion.
Well,
anyway,
weren't you tying in the Star Spangled Banner to them?
I said, I thought it was a rampart.
Oh, the ramparts.
Of the ramparts we watched.
Right, okay.
And Kevin corrected me. He said, no, it's rampants.
Rampants.
Not ramparts.
Okay. The pants and the parts, right?
Yep.
Well, we don't have the parts in the pants, right?
Well, we won't get into pants.
We never do.
Literally and figuratively.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
If you're ready to make the great escape, do it with the #1 brand on the water. Yamaha Wave Runners are the most premium personal watercraft on the market, with industry-first features and exciting new products like the all-new 2021 VX Series with audio packages, the must-anticipated Superjet, and the new race-ready GP Series. This is Wave Runner country. See one today at Full Throttle Powersports, located at 100 Indian Walk off I-85 in Lowell.
The Grooming Lady in Lincoln is having specials on all pets under 50 pounds. Bath only. That's right. Half off on bath packages that includes ear, nails, bath, and a Santa trim. They have a whole new selection of pet products, and that's not all. Some products are on sale for 15 to 25% off. Let the Grooming Lady groom your pet with hugs, kisses, and love. Open Monday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Tuesday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8:30 to 1 p.m. 1573 North Aspen Street in Lincoln. Call 980-429-2570. Like them on Facebook.
Hello, I'm a truck.
And it's time to go trucking at Iconic Motor Company in Shelby. They have the trucks like a 2018 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 HD, a 2019 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali, a 2020 GMC Sierra 1500 SLT, or a big 2017 GMC 3500 HD Denali, plus Rams, Toyotas, Tahoes, and SUVs, and get an engine lifetime warranty on any unit under $60,000. At Iconic Motor Company of Shelby, 325 West Dixon Boulevard in Shelby, online at iconicmotorcompanyofshelby.com. All right, we got another phone call here on the Full Throttle Powersports postgame show. Well, that's a dial tone. Shannon was trying to call, and Shannon get a chance to call back. Can you hear anything over there now, Dennis? Is that a little better?
I heard the dial tone.
You heard the dial tone? Okay. I couldn't get it in time. I had to get the commercial over, so Shannon maybe can call back. Good morning or good afternoon, whatever. Good night. Is this Shannon?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna turn it over to you and Dennis.
Okay.
Go ahead. You ready now? I think you're ready.
Oh, there he is. I just had to hit the right button.
Oh, there
Shannon,
you go.
You were over there tonight doing a little tweeting and everything. Just give us your impression of the game. You know what we talked about on the pregame show. Give us the Shannon Allen viewpoint of the game tonight?
Well, from my standpoint, South Point made a lot of adjustments from the first time they played. Dennis, I don't remember South Point having the receivers they had last time. I don't know, because they had some tall guys that were receivers, and even though that didn't make I say it didn't make a difference, but they just looked like they were more athletic on the end or on the edge. But they also changed their quarterback, and Crest did a good job stopping Tyson Riley tonight. But the quarterback, I think his last name was Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
He hurt them bad on the option, and that was they scored the tying touchdown to send it to overtime on an option play, and everybody was keying in on Riley.
Yeah. And
the quarterback went around the right edge and scored. But South Point, they had made adjustments since the first time they played, and it was just a hard fought game. South Point went up big. I think it was 14-0, and then Crest came. They came charging back. No pun intended there, but they came back and tied the game up, and then went ahead late in the game. And I thought, okay, Crest is going to get a stop, and this thing's going to be over. And but South Point, because Crest had the ball with like 4 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And then they turned the ball back over to South Point on a punt, and then South Point kept it for the last maybe 3.5, 4 minutes, with only a few seconds to go in the game, and tied it up. And I don't know if anybody's mentioned this, but on the extra point to tie the game in regulation, it was actually blocked.
Yeah.
But it was like a tip, and it went through the goal, or it went through the uprights. So, no, excuse me. I'll take that back. That was the second one. But anyway, it was a hard fought game. It was a great game.
According to Robbie, it was a low kick, but it cleared the bar.
Yeah, it cleared, and then they also had another one that, from our vantage point they're on the field level, I thought he missed it wide left, but apparently it went through, just barely got through on one of the extra points. But I know a lot of people's going to mention that call when Crest scored the touchdown to tie it up in overtime.
Yeah. And
the penalty or the flag was thrown. It's just one of those things that happens, and South Point they held on to win. It was a great game.
Well, I thought they adjusted, as you said, much better in this game than they did the first game. Of course, in the first game, they didn't have much adjusting to do until after the halftime. But this game, it seemed like with 35 carries, Crest went to Maury too much. I thought they should have, tried some of the other kids with some speed who had fresher legs, who might have done what they kept hoping Maury was going to do, and that's break that big run. Get that touchdown.
Yeah, I think that's because Maury had the first touchdown to put Crest on the board. He had a long touchdown run, and they just kept feeding him. I guess ride the horse that brought you there. They just kept feeding him, and they would try. What they did was basically they would take Husky at quarterback. They'd take him out of the game, and just have Maury a wildcat. And when they did that, South Point read it perfectly. They just stacked the box,
right?
Because you knew what was coming, and. Crest he could never get that. He could never get that breakaway run that they were so used to having or so used to seeing this year. But they did well. South Point adjusted. And I was talking to Tom a while ago, and he said it's kind of funny that. And I don't know if he said this with you guys or not, but he said when you have 3 turnovers and you still win the game.
Yeah,
and the other team didn't have any. He said that's that's a statement to the they just held in there or stayed in there and just played well. And Crest had an interception, they had 2 fumbles. And Crest had their chances. They really did. They just never could capitalize that one more time on one of those turnovers. And eventually, and even I don't want to say it cost them the game, but you had their first PAT. After that long touchdown run by Adams, and
right.
It was a snap on the extra point. Well, you make that extra point, at the end of the game, you're still up 28-27. So,
right.
It all matters. Every facet of the game, that extra point. A lot of people say it's just 1 point. Well, that 1 point maybe won the ball game for Crest tonight.
Well, we got a game here where Maiden, we talked about earlier, Maiden and the situation that they were in there in a tough game, and they lost tonight to East Surrey 36-35. So, yes, that 1 point is very valuable.
Yeah, I didn't know it was that close. I knew that East Surrey had won. I didn't know the score, though.
Well, let me mention here, in that particular game, what was kind of strange was, I think, what was the final, 36-35?
Yes.
At one point, it was like 6 point lead by Maiden.
Yeah.
And I think they scored the touchdown, or maybe it was a 14-point lead. But East Surrey scored the touchdown and was going to kick the extra point. Maiden was offsides, so that put it at the 1, so they decided to go for 2.
Yeah.
Well, that happened to be the difference of the ball game, which
Right.
happened about early part of the fourth quarter. So, who would have known then that was the difference of the ball game that failed, the offsides penalty and then the 2-point conversion. So there you go. You just never know. Like you say, Shannon, every point counts.
Oh, yeah, it does count. And that's speaking of the 2-point play, or 2-point conversion, after Crest had missed that first extra point, you're thinking in the back of your mind, okay, if they score again, there's still time in the ball. It's still first half. If they score, would it be a good time to go for 2 to get it back to even?
And I thought it was, and thought they were going. I was surprised when they kicked the 1 point.
Yeah, because when Maury, you put Adams and you just line him up in a pistol set where he's directly behind the quarterback. This is how Crest scored one of their touchdowns, and he's at a full sprint as soon as he gets the ball. And South Point couldn't stop it, and that was from about 12 yards out. And I'm thinking, well, you do that from about 3, But again, South Point stacked the box probably, so it's a lot of what ifs right now from everybody. And well, if they'd have done this, then this would have happened, and they would have won. But you can't do that. You gotta look at the game for what it was, and then just celebrate the good season the Chargers had, because they really did have a good season.
Well, there's a lot of teams that still be playing this week that have lost by 1 point or something. And, if it just happened to this, or if that hadn't been called back, if they had done this or that and the other. But right now you have the creme de la creme, if you will, it's worked their way to this level. Now, Dudley and South Point, I'll be interested to see how that one's going to go. And we'll tune in next week to the Witherspoon pregame show, and we'll figure that one out for you.
Yeah, I can go ahead and tell you who's going to win that one. It's not going to be South Point.
No, okay.
Dudley will run him out of stadium. Dudley must be pretty good, but it's talking about losing by 1 point. I would rather get beat by 50 than lose by 1.
Yeah.
Losing by 1 point, that's just, there's so many what ifs. Like I said, what ifs. You could go back and think during the game, well, what if I'd have done this? Would have made the difference for that 1 point? And that's just, I want you to beat the brakes off of me. Don't beat me by 1 point.
Well, I think that's what South Point did after that last game. We wanted to come back. We want to come back to the scene of the tragedy, if you will, and this time we're going to take care of that. And they did, to their credit.
Oh, they did, and most certainly they played both teams played very well, and it was back and forth. They just couldn't. Crest just could not capitalize on those turnovers. And again, a lot of people, you got to remember, Dennis, a lot of people didn't give Crest a legitimate shot this year.
No,
and there was a lot that said Shelby and Burns and even Kings Mountain, those were the top 3 teams, and then Crest would be the 4th team here in the county.
Yeah,
but again, give hats off to Coach Edens and his whole staff. They got these boys ready every week, and I've said this all along. You tell a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, you get them to win, and that gives confidence, and that'll breed that confidence, and they can do anything.
It's contagious.
And it is, absolutely. But yeah, that's they had a great season, and glad for Coach Wilbanks at Shelby. Glad those guys won. I didn't think it would be. I know I said they'd win by 21 or something like that during the pregame, but from what I hear, they pretty much shut down Reidsville's attack, and And Shelby's good. Shelby's very good.
I was surprised. I don't want to say too much. I was surprised at how easily Shelby handled Reidsville. Reidsville came in very highly touted as being not only equal to, but maybe superior than Shelby, and Shelby took care of that.
Yeah, They Shelby's got a great team, and again, that defense is something else, and that's going to be a great game next week between East Surrey and Shelby. But I think Shelby's. I don't think East Surrey's played a defense like Shelby's, and that's where they hang their hat. And Dalen Lee playing well at quarterback, and it's just. I heard Coach Jones mention too, Jeff Jones on the air a while ago when we left the game at Crest, that Shelby was able to run the ball in the second half, and that's something that they've had trouble with all year. But now it seems like they figured it out, and that's just another element to their game, and definitely going to be a hard team for East Surrey to stop.
I'm predicting that they will be making another trip down to the ship, and we'll let you know where that's going to be held when we find out.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I just wanted to call and give you my version of the game, and I talked with Tom after he talked with you a while ago, and we were talking about that play at the end of the game with the holding call, and some people say it was a hold, some people say it wasn't. I did get it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And get the video of it, and you can see the kid hold him. So, it's just an unfortunate call, but again, in overtime, you don't want to make that call.
You picked a fine time to hold me, Lucille.
That's right.
You picked a fine time, and then the ref picked a great time. I guess a great time if you're South Point to call that
now,
penalty.
Was that the only penalty called in the second half?
I think so. Yeah, there wasn't many.
Okay,
that's what I heard.
I thought I heard
Tom
that. Yeah.
that.
Wow. The last play of the game. Wow.
Yeah, the last play of the game, you throw a flag, but it was. It was. When it first happened, you're like, "There's no way that was a hold," because Crest has scored and place is going nuts. And then when I got back, when we got in the van to come home, I just pulled that up real quick to see it, and I'm like, "Well, there it is. He did hold him." So I don't know if that's the guy they called it on, but there's one play that you can see he's got a big handful of jersey, and he's actually falling down. The Crest kid's falling down, and he brings the South Point kid on top of him. So. But again, I don't think it would have mattered in the play. It wasn't like he was right there at the quarterback either. So it's just, it wasn't away from the play, but it wouldn't have had any bearing on the play, I don't think.
And now that kid's going home tonight going, dang, if I just hadn't grabbed that jersey.
Well, you can't. I hope he's not. I hope he isn't doing that because, again, you got to give him credit because Crest has a young offensive line. Yeah. And those boys grew up this year, and if he did hold him, there's nothing you can do about it now. Just work yourself, get ready for next year, and get in the weight room and do whatever you need to do. But you can't say, well, that's the reason they lost. You can't do that, and that's when if you're a senior, you go up to him, you hug his neck, and you say, don't worry about it. It's over with. It's done with. We can't do anything about it. So just move on and live for tomorrow.
Well, all right. Shannon, I'll see you next week on the Witherspoon pregame show, and we'll talk about Shelby and what their chances are against this East Surrey Cardinals, and hopefully we'll ride them all the way to the championship.
Yeah, I think so. Y'all have a blessed weekend, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you now. Tell you what, we're going to take a break. We got to get on out of here in just a little bit, but during the break, I'm going to try to contact Tim Johnson or Danny Aker and get a report on that East Surrey team who plays Shelby next week. So hang with us. We'll try to get up with these guys. They made the call tonight on WLON. We'll be right back.
If you're ready to make the great escape, do it with the #1 brand on the water. Yamaha Wave Runners are the most premium personal watercraft on the market with industry-first features and exciting new products like the all-new 2021 VX Series with audio packages, the must-anticipated Superjet, and the new race-ready GP Series. This is Wave Runner country. See one today at Full Throttle Powersports, located at 100 Indian Walk off I-85 in Laurel.
Bo Schrontz, I have a toothache. Where should I go?
Well, Tim, I'd go to John Cloninger Dentistry in Lincoln. He takes care of all my dental needs. cleanings and deep cleanings, crowns, bridges, fillings, dentures. He can even help you with your sleep apnea.
And guess what, Bo? He has a partner, Dr. Aaron Hevner.
That's right, Tim. Stop in at Dr. John Conjur's Dentistry today to let Dr. Irvin Hevner and John brighten your smile.
John Conger Dentistry, 904 Dante Drive, Lincoln. Hours Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Or call 704-735-0765.
All right, 25 till midnight, listening to the Full Throttle Powersports postgame show. And I believe we got back traveling all the way from East Surrey, the Virginia line, Danny Aker and Tim Johnson. Hey, guys, tell us about that ball game and maybe what the Shelby Golden Lions can expect from East Surrey.
Hey, Calvin, hope you're doing well. And I tell you, East Surrey's got a good football game, but me and Danny will tell you too, East Surrey was not the better football team tonight. Maiden was the best football team on the field. And when Chris Culliver went out, the star wide receiver for Maiden Blue Devils, that was the turning point. It was in the third quarter, and Maiden was already up by 7, going up by 14, and they eventually went up by 14. But Culliver caught a pass, broke about 3 tackles, and took the ball down to the half-yard line, and he dove in with one hand, trying to get the ball across, and somehow or another he hurt his hand. We're not real sure what happened, but he never came back to the field. He was done. And they did punch the ball in for a touchdown on the quarterback keeper by Ethan Rhodes. And after that, they were up by 14. It was 28-14. And it was 28-14 going into the fourth quarter. And the defense for the Maiden Blue Devils played great. They made plays after plays after plays. And the quarterback from East Surrey, Folger Boaz, is already getting looks from a lot of D1 teams all over the country. And one of them is University of Florida, the Gators. And they actually want to sign him.
Yeah.
And he's pretty impressive. He is. But the best football player on that field on both teams was not Folger Boaz. It was Chris Culliver, the junior from Maiden.
Okay. Well, at least he's got another year to come back after tonight. Boaz, I think, is a senior. And like I said...
No, Boaz is a junior. He's a junior.
He is a junior. And I believe he is very interested in that Florida offer. So, he might be getting some more offers at this particular point based on his success. And we'll just, I know it's an exciting time in his life, and we'll see what he decides to do.
Yeah, he's got, Dennis, I tell you, one thing that impressed me about him is how quick the ball gets out of his hands. He's got a lot of quick action with the football. Quick release, and he has a lot of zip on the football. He throws the football really well. A lot of quarterbacks in high school, they get under the football, and the football stays up, and it sails. He doesn't. He throws it on a straight line. And the nose of the football is always going down, which is a plus. And he's strong, not very big, probably, 6'2", maybe 6'3". Very strong, very accurate passer. He runs the ball. He's a good runner, too. He had 48 touchdowns for the whole entire year. He had 27 throwing the ball and 21 rushing the ball. And, he's an excellent athlete. Good baseball player, superior athlete. But Chris Culliver, he's a step ahead. Yeah. He's probably the best football player I've seen in the last several years. Culliver from Maiden, just a junior. But I'm going to tell you right now, Shelby's 21 points better than them. 21 points better than East Surrey. And they're probably 14 points better than Shelby. Shelby could play, I'm going to tell you, Maiden, I hadn't seen Shelby play this year. I saw him play last year. I think Maiden could play with Shelby. I don't think they'd beat them, but they could play with them. And I think that Maiden's defense is better than East Surrey's defense, and I just think Maiden's got too much speed on not Maiden, but Shelby's got too much speed on the outside. So it'll be a good football game, but I think 21 points is going to be the difference.
I agree.
Well,
we did take Chippewa.
They took care of Reedsville tonight, 31-14. So we'll see how they come out against East Surrey next week. But I'm predicting a Shelby victory along with you guys.
Yeah, I don't think East Surrey has anything for Shelby. If Maiden would have won that ball game, the game would score was 36-35. If Maiden lost that ball game because their best player was out of the game and he wasn't able to come back in and play. If he would have came back in, Maiden would have beat them by 14.
He was as good on the defensive end almost as he was on the offensive end.
Yeah, he was. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Maiden's got some football players. Quinn River, excellent football player, number 51. Jackson Hensley, man, that kid can play. Number 50 from Maiden. Ben Gibbs, a running back. Excellent running back. And Ethan Rose, the quarterback, really good quarterback. He can play. But when Carver went out of the game, that was really hard. You can't replace him.
Well, you know what I think was the play of the game, and I said that when it happened, was the offsides on the extra point attempt that East Surrey then went for 2 and made it, and that's the difference in the ball game.
Well, I agree with you too, Calvin. That's exactly right. But the biggest play, the momentum that changed that game was when Ben Gibbs caught a pass and he got held up, and one of the defenders from East Surrey came by and took the ball away, took the ball away and ran it 50 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah, it would tend to change things, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because they were up by 14, and they already completed.
They had the momentum.
Yeah, they already had two first downs, and they didn't need but like 3 yards, and already had a first down, and then Gibbs, they held him up, and the defender came over and stripped the ball and ran it 50 yards.
Well, Tim, we talked about it here at the station, and we just wondered if next time you're calling a game, if you could just get a little bit more excited about the action on the field.
He won't let me get excited.
Hey, are you still cold or are you warm now?
I'm still cold.
I was worried that you and Danny were going to have to bundle up next to each other.
Uh-oh.
Well, I thought about that because Danny had this big coat on for German athletics, and I kept looking at him. I said, I'll be about to get in there. Yeah. If he has
wait a minute now.
I said, well, you know what I'm saying?
That's right. I tell you.
We hugged each other the whole game.
It's great when we can sit in the press box. It's terrible when we have to sit outside and also pay to broadcast, and then we still have to sit outside. That's amazing.
Well,
I tell you what,
I don't think it's press boxes anymore. I think it's hospitality suites now.
Yeah, we have one of those tonight. But hey, listen, I got to give props to the East Surrey, the athletic department. Even though we had to sit outside, they were really great people, and also the radio station beside of us, they were great people too. So they were real helpful. I mean, we worked as a team tonight, and I'm just sorry. I hate that Maiden came up a little, 1 point short, but they have nothing to be ashamed about. They had a great football season.
Well, guys, appreciate everything you do. Be careful. Hey, where are you at? Where you guys on the road now? How far along?
We're about 2 hours out.
Y'all must have stopped and got a hamburger.
We stopped at Waffle House, and I don't know where we're. Wherever we're at, I don't even know where we're at.
We always hunt for Waffle House this time of night.
Well, be sure to go south instead of north.
Hey, y'all aren't where I can't.
What's your address? I got to send you an invoice.
Do you?
Hey, you guys weren't like that fella. I think he's down in Blacksburg. He stopped at the Waffle House, and the only guy that was in there at the grill was asleep back there. So he just went behind the counter and fixed his own. Woke the guy up and paid him and left.
There you go. That's called self-service.
Hey, Dennis, thanks. It's good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, Dennis, good to hear from you.
Well, I asked Calvin tonight if you were going to play a beach tune in between some of these halftime plays here.
All right.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I wish I could have.
Well, you guys have a safe trip, bub.
All right, we'll see you, boss.
Have a great weekend.
See you, Dennis.
Bye-bye.
See you.
All right, it's time to wrap it up. We've got to move along here and get this automation system going. But you've been listening to the Full Throttle Power Sports postgame show. But before we leave, Dennis, I'll flip-flop. I'll take the top. and you take the bottom, so I'll kick it
Go
off.
right ahead, Calvin.
Kick it off, Wichita. We got Robbinsville Black Knights over the Murphy Bulldogs, 28-14. This is the is this a 2A bracket or just a
that's
mix?
the 1A.
A mix.
No, yeah, that's the 2A. 2A
Okay.
up there.
We got the Mitchell Mountaineers over the Mount Airy Granite Bears, 21-14. Shelby Golden Lions, a game you heard on WOHS AM tonight, over the Reedsville Rams, 31-14. And in an exciting game that Danny and Tim were talking about, they broadcast tonight on WLON, East Surrey Cardinals squeezing by the Maiden Blue Devils, 36-35.
Now, I see now why you gave me this this group down here. It was the South Point Red Raiders tonight in their ounce of revenge, if you will, over the Crest Chargers tonight, 34-27 in overtime. I'll put that part in there, too. It was the Dudley Panthers tonight taking care of business with the Statesville Greyhounds, 20-6 tonight. It was the Huskies beating the East Forsyth Eagles tonight, 26-14. And the Chambers Cougars over the Weddington Warriors tonight, 45-14. So Huff and Chambers in a conference game again next week.
Where is Chambers?
It used to be Vance.
Okay.
It's sort of down towards Weddington, if you will.
Okay.
What was it? They had a coach that came up from South Carolina and started. It was a new school, but that's been 10 years ago.
Okay. All right, we've got the Pender Patriots over the North Side Pinetown Panthers. I like that name. 34-28. Tarboro Vikings over the Northampton Jaguars, 27-3. It was the Princeton Bulldogs over the St. Paul's Bulldogs. Big dog fight there. Princeton winning 45-28. The Wallace Rose Hill Bulldogs down the Northeastern Eagles, 57-25.
Next week, we'll find out who the big dog is.
That's right. We will.
And tonight, it was the Jacksonville Cardinals over the Eastern Alamance Eagles, 27-21. It was the J.H. Rose Rampants, which is some form of a lion we're not real sure about, over Scotland County tonight, 49-28. It was the Rollsville Rams, 47, and the Leesville Road Pride, 24. So 47-24 Roseville. And down in the southeastern part of the state, the Cardinal Gibbons Crusaders beat the Panther Creek Catamounts tonight, 42-14.
All right, little fact of interest here. 3 teams in the playoffs here are nicknamed Eagles. All 3 lost.
Yeah, and there was 3 named Bulldogs, and 2 of them won.
They were 2-1. There we go. And only 1 named Rapids, and they won.
And was 1 named Chargers, and
they got beat.
You know how that goes.
There you go. All right, a couple of the scores right quick to pass along. NC State came from behind.
They did.
Beat North Carolina. 35-31, I believe, was the final score.
Okay.
They scored like 2 touchdowns in 27 seconds. Don't ask me how that happened. I got no idea. I just looked at the scores.
Well, last time I heard, Carolina was up. But,
yeah,
you know,
they were. About double digits.
So
Sure
much
were.
for that. Now,
Yep.
State won. So if Wake Forest loses to Boston College tomorrow, State would play in a championship game in Charlotte next Saturday.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who would they play? Well, Clemson's
they play.
Clemson's still in the hunt.
They play
though.
Pittsburgh.
I think.
No, both had to lose for Clemson to have a shot.
Okay.
At it.
Okay.
But if State won,
okay,
they're going to be if Wake Forest loses to Boston College,
okay,
they would play Pittsburgh.
Got it. Okay. All right. One other score of note. Just starting the second half, the Dukies, ranked number 5 in the nation, leading the number 1 Gonzaga. Well, score just changed. The Dukies, rated number 5 in the nation, are tied with the number 1 Gonzaga Bulldogs, 47-all.
Another Bulldog.
Another Bulldog. Duke led at halftime by 5 points. So I do want to mention that tonight. All right, we got to get it out of here. It's about 10 minutes before midnight. I set in for Kevin Hastings, and hopefully he'll be back in the morning with tomorrow morning's Saturday morning sports talk.
Yeah.
Terry Reinhardt will be here, and him and I'll be, with our crying towels with our Cowboys. And Kevin and Tom Sinafani, and I'm not sure who else may show up tomorrow morning.
Well, I won't be here.
Well, Dennis, I had fun. Enjoy, kind of like old times.
I started to say we should have been in Shelby tonight.
That's right. Yeah, about like old times back in the day. All right, you've been listening to the Full Throttle Powersports postgame show. For Dennis Davis, I'm Calvin Hastings. Have a pleasant good evening and good night.